Hello and welcome to another episode of Put Me in Coach on episode 128, Diamondbacks versus Red Sox, Game 3. Lineup of the day, Gabe Marino is going back to playing catcher. Nolan Arenado is back and playing DH. And I'm thinking the rest is the same overall. And so Lars Nootbaar came in to hit and stuff, and then James McKean also came in just to pitch hit as well and stuff. And then bottom of the sixth, Lars Nootbaar came in to play left field, and then Ryan Wolfman went playing center field. So he went to left field to center field and stuff. And then top of the 10th, Max Kempler came in to pitch run for somebody and stuff. And then bottom of the 10th, Max Kempler came in to play DH over Nolan Arenado and stuff. And then Jorge Barosa came in to play center field instead over, I guess, Ryan Wolfman and stuff. And then that makes Ryan Wolfman went back to left field. So he went to left field, center field, and then back to left field. I don't know how you do that, but somehow if you still be in the batting list and stuff, you can move anywhere, I guess. I never seen that before, so this is like the first time and stuff. So that's that and stuff. Yeah, a lot of going on and stuff. Looking at the numbers in the lineup and stuff, how they did and stuff. I honestly enough, it looked pretty good overall and stuff. There's a little here and there and stuff, like the people did not get base hit is Perdomo, Jordan Lawler and stuff, Tim Tawa, and I think that's pretty much it. So 3 out of 9, honestly that's still pretty good overall and stuff. The people did really, really good is Nolan Arenado. He went 2 for 5 and stuff. Jose Fernandez went 2 for 4. Ryan Wolfman went 2 for 3 and stuff. And the rest pretty much got just 1 base hit. Overall and stuff, the ones got base hits. But yeah, pretty solid overall. They're still a pretty solid offense at the time and stuff. And then even Lars Nootbaar even got a base hit as well. Unfortunately enough, not base hit, something else. So that's pretty much of that in a way and stuff. So looks pretty good overall. Yeah. We're going to go pitching-wise up enough. The starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks, Brandon Pfaadt, with 5 innings, 7 hits, struck out 8, walked none, gave up 5 runs. So pretty good for Brandon Pfaadt and stuff. This was very interesting of enough when we saw a fan in the crowd at Fenway Park and stuff. Somehow of enough, I forgot his name. Hazen, I think that's his last name and stuff. The GM for the Diamondbacks, somehow enough, his niece was in the crowd in Fenway Park, and so I believe enough she lives there somehow, some of it. But honestly enough, she is a big, huge Diamondbacks fan, and also a big Brandon Pfaadt fan as well. So that's pretty cool and stuff. And she had a Brandon Pfaadt sign, and fortunately enough, Jody Jackson went up and interviewed her in the crowd, and so I thought that was like a cool thing. And she's asking enough of why she's so a big fan of Brandon Pfaadt and stuff, and I really like this answer very much and stuff. And I honestly like Brandon Pfaadt as well as a pitcher, of it. He was part of the 2023 playoff time. Like, I never heard of him and stuff, and he did a pretty good job in the playoffs when we were trying to get to the World Series. And he didn't do so well in the World Series, but fortunately enough, he did pretty good, against the Brewers and the Dodgers and the Phillies and stuff. So he was pretty dominated pitcher and stuff. And so we were thinking enough of having this guy to literally having a good start point with the Diamondbacks as a starting pitcher and stuff. And he did really good with a full season with the Diamondbacks and stuff. Not what we expected in a way and stuff. And then I think in his second season overall and stuff, pretty much went downhill and stuff. And then after that, I think in his third year and stuff from last year, I meant to say, and stuff, he did okay. I would definitely say that. A lot of people were expecting enough more of him and stuff. And then, fortunately enough, this year, yeah, he went a little downfall. But enough of the great story about Brandon Pfaadt, enough of he went in the minor leagues, get some little help here and there and stuff. And fortunately to have a comeback and literally having great numbers right now in what he is doing right now and stuff is a really cool. And Hayes and Nice really respect that and telling about a good story about how Brandon Pfaadt turned into a warrior pitcher in a way and stuff. It's a really cool story. I really like that. I respect that from her answer and stuff. And those are the things enough of you got to really look at and stuff when somebody is like really dominated and stuff, and then they struggle here and there and stuff, and then they get a little help with a little bit of going down, trying to figure things out and stuff, and then have a comeback and doing so well and stuff. I think that's a really cool thing, a cool story and stuff. And fortunately enough, a huge fan for Brandon Pfaadt. Enough for that girl and stuff. So I thought that was like a really cool thing to talk about and stuff. So yeah. So that's pretty much of that. The starting pitcher for the Red Sox is Peyton Talley, or Tall, or something. I don't know how to say it. And he went 5 innings, gave up 6 hits, struck out 6, walked 2, and gave up 3 runs. So it's a pretty close matchup with Brandon Pfaadt and stuff. He was pretty decent till at the end we figured him out and stuff. So some ways enough, he did also really good as well. And then the bullpen for the Diamondbacks is Juan Morello, Brandon Garcia, Kevin Ginkel, and Jonathan Litzka. And to me, enough of why did you not put, Justin Martinez and stuff. I know he was struggling on his first debut this year and stuff, but fortunately enough, he's still pretty solid overall and stuff. Maybe he just didn't like what he saw or something, and he needs more, help or whatever and stuff. I don't know. I get it. We got the win, but fortunately enough, it's just like you brought him back. How about you keep using him? That's just my opinion overall and stuff. So yeah. We're gonna go scoring over that and stuff. There's a lot of scoring overall and stuff, but I took out the boring stuff, and these are the ones I really want to talk about and stuff. Nick Sigard hit a solo home run to make a 1-0 bottom of the first, and Jarren Duran hit a solo home run to make it 2-0 bottom of the third. Unfortunately enough, for these 2 home runs, they were off the first pitch of a Brandon Pfaadt. And Nick's guard was the very first pitch in the game. It just start with a home run and stuff. And the other thing is enough of these 2 home runs off, of course, enough of they were the first pitch off Brandon Pfaadt to them and stuff. I would believe enough of Corbin Carroll probably had a much better chance enough to catch those balls and probably rob them in a way if he was not fighting against the sun and also hitting the wall twice and just keep falling off and stuff. Who knows? Depends enough of it because have we seen that before? Have we seen enough of Corbin Carroll actually jump over a fence and actually grab a home run away from somebody? We've seen that before. It's just like if he actually can actually see, and if he didn't fall against that wall over to the right side, I would actually see enough he can actually rob those 2 home runs and stuff. And also, the first pitch, that's expecting something of enough. And I don't know if enough of Brand Fott is giving up some pitches where enough of he is signaling enough of they are seeing or whatever and stuff, or is the Red Sox are doing something we shouldn't know about. It's a reason why enough of they're doing so well right now. Question to it and stuff, they thought enough of how about, Corbin Carroll, not Corbin Carroll, Cora, Alex, is it Alex Cora? Yeah. Alex Cora is a big cheater with the Astros and stuff. How about we just bring new staffs and he would just do the same thing? Yeah, if they get caught, then it's your fault. Enough of we won 11, lost 11-1 and 4-6 in a series and stuff. Big fat cheater of enough. Hopefully, good enough that you didn't sweep us in a way and stuff. If you're a fat liar and a cheater in a way, so discuss in a way and stuff. And you should know better. Red Sox. Done it before. What could happen? Same thing with the Astros. Do you really want people to hate you? That's the question if you want to answer. I know my Diamondbacks won't do that because I'm not going to let them. Ryan Wolfsmith with the RBI double to make it 1-2 bottom of this 5th. And then Gabe Moreno with a 2 RBI to make it 3-2 bottom of the 5th. And then Lars Newbar with his first home run for the Diamondbacks with a 2 home run to make it 5-2 top of the 6th. It is good to see he can do some stuff. My dad would keep telling me he hasn't really done anything. Well, yesterday he did. That is for sure a thing and stuff. Mickey Gasper with a 3 home run to tie the game up 5-5, bottom of the 6th. I don't know. Again, I don't know what's up with this guy. This Mickey Gasper keep hitting some base hits and home runs off of us. Yeah, question mark of these guys of enough, but fortunately enough, Jose Fernandez with a RBI walk to make it 7-5, top of the 10th, and the final score is 7-6. The Diamondbacks did win, did not get swept. Their record right now is 67 and 61 and stuff, so not too bad, but we did lose a couple things off of the wild card. I think the Padres are over us, the Phillies are over us pretty good and stuff, so we really need to get back into the good position so we can fight back in the wild card and stuff. We're still in it, but fortunately enough, it's just we did lose a couple because of people went over us and stuff, and that's not a good sign and stuff. So that's that. Progress. They just need to keep fighting and stuff. I think that's the most positive thing about that. Pitching wise enough, it looks pretty good, but overall, just keep doing better than you can and stuff. Do the best you can. Everything and stuff. I think that's the possible of enough we can win. Offense, just keep hitting, pitching, keep striking out, do some outs and anything. Just don't let the other team to, have a comeback or have a chance to win the game overall. And, that's how we win games if we can and stuff. So that's the only way I could absolutely say. MVP, finally enough talked about MVPs. I have 2 of them and stuff. I picked Nolan Arenado and stuff. This is his 12th MVP and stuff, and he actually passed the most MVP on this podcast. So pretty good for him. He's showing his bat, The other people are not, so fortunately enough for him to, pass over everybody and stuff. He is showing at the most at the time and stuff. So good for him. And then I have Jose Fernandez as well with the other MVP, and this is his fourth MVP on this podcast, and it is good to see him back doing, Jose Fernandez, and stuff. We won't forget about what happened, what he did on the debut. 2 home runs of the Tigers. We won't forget that. Okay? I'm not forgetting Jose the Kid. Okay? I'm not. I don't want to. And stuff. That's pretty much of it. I'm glad enough I have a break for today and stuff. There's no game on Thursday today and stuff. I'm so glad I can caught up. This is the last game I am brought up and stuff. I'm actually going to California on tomorrow, Friday. I'm going to work in the morning and stuff, leave afterwards, go straight to California because I'm not just a Arizona Diamondbacks fan. I'm a baseball fan as well. I'm not gonna, like you guys subbed enough of with the other teams as well. There's 29 other teams besides of the Diamondbacks and stuff. Not saying enough of I'm a huge fan of it. I'm still number one with the Arizona Diamondbacks for sure enough. I was born here, I was raised here and stuff. 1998, same year as the Diamondbacks and stuff. All the things. Diamondbacks are always going to be in my heart every single time and stuff. Currently of enough of me having a rivalry enough of with the Dodgers and stuff because they're in the same division doesn't mean enough it's okay enough to go into other people's stadiums and want to go and see another baseball teams and stuff and games and all typical things and stuff. So that's just that enough. Yes, I am going to a Dodger stadium and stuff because currently enough in my life enough of my goal is trying to get to all of the 30 stadiums and stuff. I've been to 12 stadiums at this time. If I go to the Dodgers tomorrow, this will be the 13 and stuff. And I'm pretty much close enough to be half of the rest of the leagues in baseball and stuff. So I never been to Dodger Stadium. It will just check off my list in a way and stuff. It's a really cool stadium overall. It's very iconic. It's one of the oldest and stuff. My dad actually was born and raised and grew up as a Dodger fan in California in Huntington Beach and stuff. So obviously enough of he was a big Dodgers fan back then, with the Brooklyn Dodgers of enough. My dad was born in 1956 and stuff. The Dodgers actually lost the World Series in 1956. When the Yankees were playing and stuff, that was the time when Jackie Robinson was playing at the time and stuff. But fortunate enough, of my dad pretty much grew up of the LA Dodgers and stuff. But fortunate enough of there's other pitchers on the on the Dodgers at the time. My dad remember and stuff like Duke Snider is pretty much Hall of Fame, big player for the Dodgers at the time, and stuff. Brooklyn and LA and stuff. Same thing with Sandy Koufax, big pitcher for the Dodgers and stuff. Brooklyn and LA as well, and pretty much rest of his career and stuff. It's sad enough if he's injured. Made his career ended pretty early and stuff, but still enough of a great pitcher to get into Hall of Fame and stuff. That's where my dad's favorite pitcher in baseball and generally of enough of Sandy Koufax and stuff. There's other players on the team are in the Hall of Fames as well, like Don Settle, Sutton or something like that. There's other people, Don Lattisley or I forgot his name, and stuff. But there's so much of it, like P.B. Reese and stuff. There's Jackie Robinson. There's so much of iconic Dodgers from Brooklyn to LA and stuff. They've been around enough to 1955, 1959, 1963, 1965, 1981, and stuff, 1988. I'm just naming all the World Series they just won and stuff. And then fortunately enough for back-to-back 24-25. And also, if you don't forget about of 2020. I get it's a 60 season and stuff, but fortunately enough, it was a World Series and it counts. No, doesn't matter if it's a 60 season and stuff, but it's what it is. There was a World Series. It's not like 1994 where there's a strike and there's no World Series. That doesn't count because there was no World Series. But there is a World Series, and this time, I know it was a short season, but they still had a World Series. Like if enough of what happened if the Rays would actually won the World Series, would he give them the World Series? Absolutely, because they won the World Series. Fortunately enough, they didn't, and because the Dodgers won it, and but if the Rays did win the World Series in 2020, they would get the World Series, and it would be their first one. But fortunately enough, they have none, and so it's hard to say that about that. But fortunately enough, they did win the World Series that year, and it's part of them in their organization, and it was a World Series, and they won. So it's a matter of that. Don't tell me enough of 60 series in a game, and it doesn't count. Well, it counts in some ways enough in MLB and in history as well. So don't tell me enough of there's a World Series, enough of it. We got to expect enough of the 2017 World Series, enough of giving the Astros enough of they won the World Series too, but I get it, they cheated, but they still won it overall enough, and it's still in the paper. So just expecting enough of it. I understand enough of it happens, but it doesn't matter enough of it. It doesn't count because these things, typical things, ruin it in a way of enough. It's still in the paper, it's still in the history, and it still happened overall of enough. So just letting you know on that. So that's just all the typical things and stuff. So that's pretty much of that and stuff. I'm looking forward to getting a Brooklyn Dodgers hat and stuff because my dad is celebrating his 70 birthday this year and stuff. It's crazy enough of my dad is going to be 70 years old and stuff. And then fortunately enough of he has no gray hair on top of his head hair and stuff. No gray hair. Fully brown hair, never dyes it and stuff. I don't know. I'm assuming enough of my dad is a vampire, and he looks super young. He's in good shape overall. He's ripped and stuff because he works out pretty much every single day and stuff, mostly Tuesday and stuff. And I do ping pong with him and stuff. So getting some exercise here and there and stuff, and looking great. He works hard and stuff. He's retired. I understand that and stuff, but he does a lot of other important stuff to work and get in good in shape and stuff, like working out, work on the yard work and stuff, helping other people as well and stuff, and doing errands and stuff. Like my dad does it all and stuff, and he's gonna be 70 years old. So for the celebration for my dad's birthday of enough of sooner or later, he's going to have a 50, like a 1950 birthday, because that's the year he was born and stuff. We did it with the 80 and the 70 with my sisters and stuff. So that's all that and stuff. So I was thinking about enough for my celebration with, in a way, with my dad's birthday, because I did exactly the same thing with my sister's birthday in the 80s and stuff. And I actually had a Red Sox hat and a Red Sox shirt and stuff before, and then I pretty much just shaved my whole beard off besides of the mustache and stuff, and then dressed up as Bill Buckner and stuff, because of the iconic of the from the 1986 World Series with the Red Sox and the Mets. Fortunate enough of the worst way to lose a World Series, having the ball going through Bill Buckner's legs and losing Game 6 in the World Series and stuff, for the Mets to walk it off and all the typical things, because if he cleaned it enough, the Red Sox would actually break the Big Bang, the Big Bambino occurs a lot early than of 2004 and stuff, and they would actually win the World Series in 1986 if he cleaned it. But fortunately enough, that happened. It's the worst. It's iconic and stuff. And honestly enough, Bill Buckner is in the Hall of Fame for the Cubs. Not just Hall of Fame in baseball, but just for the Cubs. Just letting you know on that and stuff. So that's what I dressed up because of the 80s and stuff happened in 1986 and stuff. So I was thinking enough of dressing up a Hall of Fame baseball player in the 50s and stuff, and I picked Duke Snider and stuff. And the only thing enough of why I picked Duke Snider, because there is a reason why I picked him, and I know this knowledge because I looked the World Series on Wikipedia, all these typical things and stuff, blah blah blah, here and there and stuff. Fortunately enough, Duke Snider, he has like the most home runs in Dodgers organization overall, Hall of Fame, and Brooklyn to Dodgers and all those typical things and stuff. Really great player overall and stuff. He did play in the 50s with the Brooklyn Dodgers and stuff. But part of enough in the 1956, the year of enough of my dad was born and stuff, the Dodgers were in the World Series against the New York Yankees. Fortunately enough, they did lose against the Yankees and stuff while Jackie Robinson was on the team at the time and stuff. But just however enough of the same day of enough of my dad was born on October 5th in 1956. The person who actually hit a home run the same day as my dad was born was Duke Snider. And that is currently enough of the reason why I'm looking for of going to Dodger Stadium, because it's a new stadium I've never been to and stuff. I get about the Dodgers because I'm a Diamondbacks fan. I totally understand that and stuff. But it's iconic stadium. It looks cool. Never been to it. I'm super excited just for new excitement and all those typical things and stuff, and actually getting some a Brooklyn Dodgers hat and stuff, and maybe a Brooklyn jersey as well and stuff, just for the birthday for my dad and stuff. So I'm looking forward to that and stuff, and also wearing it at the game and stuff. And it was just a 2-day trip to California to back and stuff. So basically going to the game on Friday tomorrow and stuff, and then head back on Saturday to here and stuff. And that's pretty much it and stuff. So yeah. So that's all good. So, yeah, I know it's a lot, but I just think it's so cool of enough of knowing enough of Duke Snider actually hit a home run the same day as my dad was born in 1956, October 5th. So, just letting you know some history things here and there and stuff. And I think that's a cool thing, because when I looked enough of the year I was born in 1998, okay, the Padres were playing the Yankees, and fortunately enough, the Padres did get swept by the Yankees that year and stuff. But gotta understand about of Bruce Bochy was part of the Padres manager at the time, and he had a fancy mustache at the time. This was the 90s, bro. The 80s and the 90s, 70s, 80s, and 90s baseball was like peak of mustache, dude. Like, people had good mustache, and Bruce Bochy was one of them. Like, he has good, like, even with Bill Buckner and stuff, great mustache. So those are the difficult things and stuff. So I remember of it, but fortunately enough, that the day of enough of I was born on October 13th and stuff, the Padres did not play on that day on my birthday. I mean, the year I was born and stuff. But the Yankees were playing, but not in the World Series. It was like their last game against who they face in like the AL Central, championship division overall and stuff. So nothing too special, but in a way, it was in playoff time. So that's all of that and stuff. So Yeah, I know it's a lot and stuff. And then if you want to hear about enough for Kento Marte situation stuff, I'm hearing a little bit of rumors enough of he doesn't really want to play for the Diamondbacks, and who knows? I honestly have enough. I don't know what's really going on with him and stuff. I currently have enough of haven't heard anything he was gonna go back to Massachusetts and Boston just to be part of the Diamondbacks roster overall and stuff. I think it was just gonna be like a one day and then be back or whatever and stuff. But fortunately enough, I think he is still here in Arizona and stuff, and never been into Fenway besides of that Sunday, and then left on Monday and stuff. All the typical things and stuff. That's currently what we are hearing and stuff. But yeah, we haven't really heard about anything. He went back to Fenway Park to just be part of the team and stuff. But we haven't heard anything. A lot of people were saying it's a no-show. You can't really do that from a work expectation and stuff. It doesn't really look good for you in some ways and stuff. Yeah, I don't know what to expect of enough. I'm hearing a lot of people are saying he might be done and stuff. He might have a comeback. Who knows if it's gonna happen and stuff. We want to expect enough the positive in a way enough of he is back. That is the way of it. But if it doesn't go the right way of enough, and he doesn't really want to play for the Diamondbacks and stuff, we'll miss him in a way and stuff. We'll give gratitude of what his decision and stuff. We cannot just say just like, oh, you don't want to play for the Diamondbacks, you're stupid. We can't think about that at this time and stuff, because Marte is not stupid. He's just he is just lost right now at the time and stuff with his mind and stuff. So you just gotta think positive at the time and stuff. He might struggle, at the time and stuff, and people struggle all the time and stuff. I totally understand where he's coming from and stuff, but we just gotta just have patience and respect him in a way of what his decision is and stuff. And if he comes back, it'll be great. If he doesn't, it's not gonna be the worst, but we'll just have high hopes for him in the future and all this stuff. So that's all the typical things and stuff. But yeah, it does hear enough of it. Doesn't sound like he wants to play. The only thing, we don't know that for sure and stuff. That's just suspecting of enough for other people having a rumor of saying enough of he doesn't want to play because of the no-show and stuff. And they could be wrong, they could be right, who knows. But again, it's just we gotta really think about the positive things at this time and stuff. And it's hard enough to think about the positive if he doesn't want to play on this team, but I get it. But we still need to think about positive. So positive mind, please. I hate when I hear about negative things and just like, why do you say negative things and stuff? So it's just like, yeah, it's just so dumb hearing negative things and stuff. So that's pretty much of that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Have a great day, and thank you for watching.